Breaking news this morning on the software that President Trump says was weaponized against him. Coming up, President Trump's legal team with new evidence this morning of backdoors on voting machines, ballot tampering, and election interference.
President's lawyers alleging a company called Dominion, which they say started in Venezuela with Cuban money and with the assistance of Smartmatic software, a backdoor is capable of flipping votes. But the media has no interest in any of this. But you and I do, as we should.
The foundations of democracy and the will of the people, which is, of course, expressed through our votes. And we don't know about the accuracy of those votes. We have a very good indication that they were fraudulently counted.
Look, I want to show this graphic of the swing states that were using Dominion and this software.
Georgia uses Dominion voting systems, which has a history of technical glitches. And in Atlanta, these software glitches could have affected thousands of absentee mail-in ballots.
The fact of the matter is that this president is looking at the prospect of having this election stolen from him.
And then they did dumps. They call them dumps, big, massive dumps in Michigan and Pennsylvania and all over.
If you paid any attention in the past few years, you've seen these types of declarations made on Fox News from hosts to talent to contributors to politicians and everyone in between about how Dominion voting systems will completely rig the election against former President Donald Trump, led by him and his team. Of course, see those clowns there next to Jeanine Pirro there. She tells her lies. Well, we know that defamation suit has been filed against Fox News by Dominion voting machines. And as of just Thursday of this week, they released all these texts, emails, communications that were previously unknown to the general public from Fox News hosts and executives about this whole thing. And what it is beginning to reveal, I think pretty extensively, is that they knew everything they were saying was BS, but they continued doing it. We're gonna show that, and we're gonna show why they did it. And it's pretty straightforward and clear. Let's go straight to the beginning of this though, because New York Times reported on this as well as many other entities. And they said, the hosts Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham, as well as others at the company, repeatedly insulted and mocked Trump advisors, including Sidney, Powell, and Rudolph W. Giuliani, in text messages with each other in the weeks after the election. Quote, Sidney Powell is lying, by the way. I caught her. It's insane, is what Mr. Carlson wrote to Ms. Ingraham on November 18th of 20. Ms. Ingraham responded, Sidney is a complete nut. No one will work with her. Ditto with Rudy. Except for them when they invited them on the show every damn night. More though, Mr. Carlson continued, our viewers are good people and they believe it, he added, making it clear that he did not. So he kept going down that road. This is the same Mr. Carlson that was saying things like this, watch.
Other countries understand it. They don't use electronic voting because they know it undermines confidence in democracy. A system cannot function if no one trusts the vote. And that's true here too, as we're finding out. Going forward, we need to find out exactly what happened in this month's presidential election. We need to find out no matter how long it takes the investigation to unfold or how much it costs. And once we get answers from that investigation, we ought to revert immediately to the traditional system of voting, the one that served our democracy for hundreds of years. But at the same time, we shouldn't let our focus on voting machines distract us from all that happened earlier this month. The 2020 presidential election was not fair. No honest person would claim that it was fair. On many levels, the system was rigged against one candidate and in favor of another. And it was rigged in ways that were not hidden from view. We all saw it happen.
That's Tucker Carlson saying things that he thinks his viewers want to hear because they did. But he never believed it, as we already heard a little bit of. But he wasn't done yet. There's more to this. Eric Wimple, he works, he's with the Washington Post media critic, and he had a bit of a thread talking about some of the things that were revealed in this defamation hearing as they revealed the things that were going on. Here's the first little piece of this. He says one thing that leaps out of the document is just how panicked network officials were about the viewers' disenchantment with the network's early call of Arizona going to Biden. This is what then went through that whole thing. On November 9th, the impact of Fox's Arizona call became more evident to Fox executives. Carlson told Scott, an executive, directly, I've never seen a reaction like this. That's Suzanne Scott. I've never seen a reaction like this to any media company. Kills me to watch it. Scott immediately relayed the email to Lachlan Murdoch. She told Brignati that Bill Salmon, did not understand the impact of the brand and the arrogance in calling Arizona, which she found astonishing, given that as a top executive, it was Salmon's job to, quote, protect the brand. What would that brand be? Anyways, they said on day one, as Scott termed it, Fox executives made an explicit decision to push narratives to entice their audience back. Scott and Lachlan Murdoch exchanged texts about the plan going forward, and they're talking about the viewers' 5 stages of grief. Let's move on to this next part, because Tucker also wasn't done protecting the company in his declarations about what was going on. This is what else he also said. We worked really hard to build what we have. Carlson texted to his producer, Alex Pfeiffer, on November 5th of 20. That's according to the filing. Referring to colleagues who projected the results, Carlson texted, "Those efforts are destroying our credibility. It enrages me." Look at the upside down world that we're looking at here. Tucker Carlson's talking about how these folks are destroying their credibility. The credibility in lying to viewers and continue to push this narrative that the election was stolen, when he knows or believes, at least in his mind, that it was not. What is the reason? To protect that credibility. Carlson added that he had spoken with fellow primetime commentators Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity minutes earlier, and that they were highly upset. It wasn't just him. Wow. At this point, we're getting hurt no matter what, he wrote, according to the filing. Pfeiffer replied that many on our side are being reckless demagogues right now. Of course they are, is what Carlson then wrote back. We're not going to follow them, the reckless demagogues that happen to be telling the truth. And one more piece here before they get to the second level of this, and your thoughts at the beginning of this here, Jordan. Carlson went on to say that Trump was good at, quote, destroying things. He's the undisputed world champion of that. He could easily destroy us if we play it wrong. Damn. So this is the first level of it, Jordan. As I think we chatted a little bit before we came on, it's unsurprising, but what is it really doing now for the general public to see this stuff?
Right, so this lawsuit uncovered texts in the discovery phase that showed that Fox hosts openly mock some of these wild conspiracy theories that they go out and parrot and they repeat on air every single night, knowing that it's untrue. And to us and to the viewers and to any sensible, rational person in this country, a brief interaction and viewership of Fox will show you they are not rooted in reality. They have created an alternate universe for their viewers. And sadly, millions of people tune in every night and buy in to this MAGA soap opera. But all of the hosts are in on it. In a way, it's like wrestling. It's just all kayfabe. They're all in on it behind the scenes. They all know it's BS.
Yeah.
They're just playing a role. And from Tucker to Laura Ingraham to Hannity, they all know what they're doing. And unfortunately, millions of people don't. And they trust them, unfortunately. And that leads to real world harm. You can draw a through line between the claims that were parroted around the 2020 election on that network and January 6th. People seriously thought, because of Fox, that these machines were hacked, that they were rigged, the election was fraudulent, because ultimately Fox is just serving as a megaphone for the Republican Party. That's their goal. And you see that in Tucker's comment about how if they play it wrong, Trump will destroy them. They are an apparatus, a communications apparatus for the Republican Party, plain and simple.
And that's the way, of course, that's why they pitch themselves as the complete opposite of that, to somehow keep these folks watching. That I think, even if they said blatantly, we're the network that's trying to help Republicans get elected and lie about it by any means necessary, they would still have a pretty large number of viewers that go, yes, do just that. Because this has been proven out so many times before. You mentioned Tucker more, because I have a little bit more. Yes, this is a seriously deep story. Let's go to more, because Tucker and Hannity were also targeting some employees that were telling the truth. Here's another piece from Eric Wimple as he tweeted this out. After Fox News staffer correctly fact-checked stuff that was coming out of the network's opinion side, all hell broke loose among the primetimers. Here's that detail. In their group text thread, Carlson pointed Hannity into a tweet by Fox reporter Jackie Heinrich. Heinrich was fact-checking a tweet by Trump that mentioned Dominion and specifically mentioned Hannity and Dobbs's broadcast that evening discussing Dominion. Heinrich correctly fact-checked the tweet, pointing out that top election infrastructure officials said that there is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. That was the fact check because that was the fact. Tucker Carlson then responded because this is his job. He said, please get her fired, saying Mr. Hannity, seriously, what the F is what he said. I'm actually shocked. It needs to stop immediately, like tonight. It's measurably hurting the company. The stock price is down, not a joke. And Tucker added, I just went crazy on meat over it. Hannity said he had already sent to Suzanne with a really? He then added, I'm 3 strikes. This Wallace stuff debate, election night is a disaster. Now this BS, nope, not gonna fly. And then he said, did I mention Cavuto? So they're asking for one particular fact checker to be fired because of fact checking. I'm gonna say that again. Fox News host asked for a fact checker to be fired because she was fact checking and she did it accurately to the things that Donald Trump was saying. Then, as you saw, Sean Hannity mentioned Cavuto. This is what Cavuto had been doing. Apparently, that angered Sean Hannity. Watch.
We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every illegal vote to be.
I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up. But that's an explosive charge to make, that the other side is effectively rigging and...
It's thoroughly impossible to go through the near 200 pages of the Dominion's suit and the things that they were saying specifically in court on Thursday to point out all these holes in Fox News's defense of this. But Fox News did say that this is a violation of our First Amendment rights. Okay, sure.
On that point, though, one of the components of a successful libel suit would be proving that they were knowingly engaging in, false claims. They had a reckless disregard for the truth. This seems to show that. They all knew it was bogus. And it also reflects this internal conflict at Fox between the opinion side and the news side. That's something that Fox has taken to advertisers at upfronts, which is where TV networks sell most of their ads every year. And they've tried to stress the importance and validity and integrity of the news side. This shows how little they actually care about the news side and how much weight the opinion side has internally. They're demanding a fact checker get fired. They're going after Cavuto for pointing out that plainly false claims made by Kayleigh McEnany were being broadcast. It's a pretty basic decision to pull away from that. Unfortunately, a lot of networks didn't do that during the Trump administration because of the spectacle that Fox even did is surprising. But the reaction from people like Tucker to that sensible decision shows what they're ultimately about. And that is deliberately lying to people, getting them worked up into a fervor, and creating this alternate universe where the Republican worldview and conservative beliefs are continually affirmed, even if that means engaging in outright lies.
And sometimes those outright lies lead to outright violence. We've seen it before, and then when January 6th went down, then a couple of them were scrambling around saying, stop this, what are we doing? Well, you helped build up that entire energy that led to the next step. I guess they just never thought it would get to that point somehow.